Good? Yeah, we're good. Okay. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Comedy Pinata. I'm in the green room of the historic Zanies in Nashville with our good pal, Reno Collier. But before we get to the biz, we got to get to the biz and thank our sponsor. Do you know car repossession is on the rise? Did you know you also have every right to stop a repo guy from taking your car? Consumers have broad rights to stop a car repossession from happening, and that is where the law firm at Sue the Collector can help you. If your car is about to be repossessed or your car was repossessed and you verbally told them to stop and leave your car alone, were physically hurt or injured by the repo agent, or they took the wrong car altogether, you may have a case. The attorneys at Sue the Collector specialize in wrongful car repossession and can help you or your loved one. If you or your loved one were injured, lost valuables, or wrongfully had your car repossessed, call us now at 1-877-BAD-REPO, 1-877-BAD-REPO. Again, that's 1-877-BAD-REPO. Back here with Reno Collier.
Good, man.
And we're in the green room.
We are. I'm doing this right?
I think we're doing it right. Yeah, you can hear, right?
Is that right?
When you're in the green room, obviously we normally are in the club. When you're in the green room, what is the first memory that comes to mind when I say Zany's green room?
Oh,
By the way, if you could just go in on that face, freeze frame it, that tells you everything you need to know.
dude, I have like stages of where the green room used to be back there.
Oh, where was it?
It was, if you go out the door and down, it was back. I met my first wife out in front of there.
Okay.
Which, we have two beautiful kids, so everything's good. But she's fine. But
she's fine.
She'll be all right.
Yeah.
She made out. All right.
Yeah.
I had worked 3 jobs during COVID, but she's good.
She got all the development deal money.
She got all. Oh, dude, all that. People are like, whatever happened to that blue collar money? I'm like, you can see it over where my kids.
You know where Janice lives?
Yeah.
The nice house? Yeah, that's where it is. Yeah.
It's gone. But there was that green room, which I used to get blistered drunk in, before. A long time ago, I would walk to the bar to say hi. There'd be a shot of Jack and a Coors Light. I'd do the shot, grab my Coors Light, and go back in the green room. Yeah. I mean, it was fun. But and the walls were all signed. Now this is taken on. This is glamour. There's all different kinds of candy and all the drinks and the pictures and But I think the excitement of doing shows when I was younger. Yeah. Of like coming to Nashville and being like, oh my gosh. I'm at Zany's at Nashville. It was just, this club has such a history and the Dorfmans and all that. So I think probably, and just from what we were talking about earlier, seeing people so nervous in here.
Yeah, we were discussing the Mondays and Tuesday nights here. They have at Zany's. Mondays, the new material Mondays. Yeah. And then Tuesdays, the all-star shows. It's a good mix of all the veterans. Yeah. And then a lot of the young folks that are just getting into it. And I think that, you said the thing you notice is how nervous everybody is and the giddy laughter. Yeah. But I also think it's very supportive because you see everybody, they'll goof off, they'll do the thing, but then whoever's on, there will be at least 4 or 5 minutes where the green room gets quiet and they're all watching and they're all laughing and they're supporting. And the minute somebody comes in, great job, great job, great job. Yeah. It's rare that I've seen somebody kind of dour on the way out.
The energy.
It's usually me.
Yeah. Us old guy, we beat ourselves up more than these young kids come off and they're like, I killed. And they're like, no, you didn't. But good job. That was fun. Thanks for wearing
killing?
It. Yeah.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah. Why don't you try taking your shirt off the hanger before you go up and try to, you know what I mean?
I love sometimes. I forget who the comic was, but I went somewhere and you could tell they just bought the shirt from Nordstrom's and it still had the 4 folds right in the center. It's like you couldn't even. Dude, I had all day.
I've done the sticker.
Oh, really?
Large, all the way down, and forgotten the. And I never changed my clothes to go on stage, and it's like I guess it's just because I'm getting older. Yeah. But I'm like, come on, man, like, can't you? Especially for television. Yeah. Like I always, at least, I got excited and bought a new shirt or something.
Get dressed up, yeah.
Yeah, but now it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, there's. I wear suits all the time, and. There was one time I split my pants on stage, and I was doing Sausage Party, and it was at the end, and I brought a very what's the politically? She's fat. I don't know how to say it.
Biggin.
She was
biggin, big old girl.
Biggins. Yeah, she was biggin. She was I would say like clinically obese for sure. And so I chose her because I was like, oh, she needs this. She needs this, right? So I bring her up, and I'm the first one up, and I have like slim fit pants and a slim jacket, right? And I go to straddle her, and I kick my leg over, and she was so wide. As soon as I did, I heard, and I went, oh, fuck.
You split your pants.
I split my
She was so big, I split my pants.
That's exactly what happened, man. And then I'm feeling, as I'm doing it, I'm like covertly feeling I'm like, oh, fuck, I ripped my pants. So I just kept my back up against the stage wall the whole time, the rest of the thing. And then I was just doing a show this past weekend, and again, I brought a bigger girl up, and I'm like, okay, maybe just one leg this time. And I got on the one leg, and the one leg was as big as most people's laps.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, thank God, because I would have shredded my pants
Split them again.
Yeah. Have you ever shred your pants or
No, dude. The
shit your pants
I
on
wear.
stage?
No,
I almost shit my
I've
pants
seen
on stage.
somebody. I've seen somebody do it.
Shit their pants on stage?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Who?
Todd Yon. It was a long time ago, and he went out. He used to do this thing when he had to fart. It was the 90s. He had to fart, and he'd take the mic and be like, and fart in it.
No.
And he did it, and he went, oh, and he was real physical. So he was sitting there. You knew it was like, okay, that was 10 minutes in. He's got a good 40 minutes left.
So now he's on stage.
And now, you know, and he's doing this guy,
Oh,
this astronaut in
sloppy.
slow motion, and he just has this look on his face. I mean, what do you do?
But the front row knows.
Yeah,
The front row's got to know.
You have to. You'd think. You want them to, you know, like, because
For the funnies. They
yeah,
shit the pants, right,
like,
guys?
but that's the thing is like that's funnier to me,
Right.
Like anytime it goes way wrong.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, and I used to do a thing when I was drinking. And I had to pee all the time because
Yeah.
I was just drilling beer.
Sure.
So I got in trouble for this at this club in Louisville. This idiot who used to own it, we both know, and I'm not going to say his name, but. So during my show, I had to pee, so I go, hey, do you guys like AC/DC? And the crowd's like, yeah. I'm like, cool, listen to it for a couple minutes. So I pull the mic down, and I put it on my phone,
Yeah.
AC/DC, and then I just go pee. I told my guy, I got to take a leak, and I left the stage and came back, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to make that time up to you during the show.
Yeah.
That was 5 minutes, but you were going to get it back. It's not, you're not law at anything. I get down and my agent calls me. He's like, did you go smoke a cigarette in the middle of your show? And I'm like, what? And you know how stupid it sounds to try to explain what I actually did? He's like, the club owner called and said you just like walked off stage and went and smoked. I go, I didn't smoke a cigarette. I had to take a pee, which sounds almost worse. But I'm like, you can't control that. Like a cigarette's, I meant to do that.
Yeah.
But if I just had to pee really bad and I'm looking at everybody and I'm uncomfortable, I can't do my real show like that.
Sure.
I'm like, I didn't smoke a cigarette. I just went to the bathroom. You know, all defiant.
Why was it 5 minutes? Because I pee sitting down. Yeah. Okay.
Because I had to go out and smoke the rest of my.
I've had to on the occasion piss during a show, but what I do is I call the MC up. I go, hey, can you do it 2 or 3 minutes? I got to take a piss. And they're like, are you serious? I'm like, I'm absolutely serious. Please. And then they go out, and the audience gets it. It's like, yeah, you got to take a piss. It's no big
Dude,
deal.
what are you supposed to do?
Gary Cannon, we were out recently, and he's just a piece of shit. He's just always shitty. He's just shitting on everybody. And so he's leaving the elevator, and as he does, I just bought him and the other comic lunch. And he's being an asshole to me, right? And so he goes, hey, thanks for the lunch. And as he says it, he turns around to lift his leg to fart in the elevator as he's leaving. And he does, and we heard it. Like, you literally heard this shit coming out. And he turned around, he was like, uh-oh. We're like, fuck you, you piece of shit.
You're welcome.
So it was instant karma. It was so fucking great. And then I saw him waddle to his room.
Yeah.
Awesome. Should we get in this? So we're in the green room today. There's some technical difficulties out there in Zanies, but so you just want to walk us through who the first one is, or? Oh, do we have them? Oh, do we not? Oh, here we go. Okay. Thank you, Taylor. That's his hand, Taylor. Okay. So, is there a theme today, or am I going to discover this? Oh, sorry. Late night talk show appearances.
All right.
Okay, here we go. Number 1. Let's see who we got here. Oh God, we're off to a great start.
Hack. Dude, he and Eddie Murphy are probably the reasons I wanted to be a comedian.
Rickles?
Yeah.
I mean,
his Letterman appearance, everything he was on. And he had a heart of gold.
yeah.
And it was like, and now people are, you just don't get it. You're not friends with other people to,
Yeah.
you know, he busted balls, but he was funny. And I love this period.
This period,
You know?
well, Hollywood, the entertainment world was communal. Everybody who was at the top of the mountain, they all knew each other. And Rickles could goof off. And there was one clip, I forget where it is, but he had a cop show, and he was filming the cop show, and he's in the studio across from the Burbank studios where Carson was filmed. And Carson was doing something with a hot tub or whatever, this Japanese, whatever.
Yeah.
And did you ever see where Rickles picks him up and throws him in?
Yeah, yeah.
And it's just like, that's live TV. And that's back in the 70s or 80s when, I mean, people just didn't do that. You don't do those things. But Rickles did it. He could get away with it because they're such good friends. But I agree with you. I think he broke the mold. He's one of those that, he broke the fourth wall in terms of like shitting on the audience, breaking down the audience, but in moments like this, like breaking down this sense of decorum.
Yeah.
Of like, yeah, I get it, but you're still my friend. I'm going to shit on you.
Dude, the story about he and Sinatra.
One of the greatest stories ever. Yeah. I mean, the dinner.
Yeah.
It's
like,
unbelievable.
"Could you
I think you
please come
told
over?"
it last time.
I did?
On one of the episodes, yeah. But for those that don't know,
Yeah, so he and,
Rickles is dinner with his date. He sees Sinatra.
and he's like, hey, would you do me a favor? I'm trying to impress this girl.
Yeah.
Would you come over and kind of? And he's like, yeah.
So great.
And they're sitting around, and then the Sinatra comes over. He's like, hey, I just wanted to come over. And Ron's like, can't you see we're eating dinner here? Do you have to, I mean, dude, to Frank Sinatra, like that is just, that's fun, man. That's open fun.
But even do yourself a favor, watch the Dean Martin roasts, or just flash forward to the part where Rickles talks, because he is just a wrecking ball. And I'd love to see the outtakes,
Oh my gosh, me too.
because he's dropping serious some serious language. All right, so let's watch Don Rickles here on the Tonight Show with the best Johnny Carson.
Aren't you getting a little older?
I know your age. The prom's over.
All right.
I mean,
It's summer.
I know, but you're dressing like some Chinese yo-yo or something. You look like Hong Kong Charlie.
Hong Kong Charlie.
How you feeling, Ed?
Very good, Don.
Keep your name alive. Great.
Thank you.
You got heavy stuff going, but you're a good guy, and you know I love you, Ed.
Thank you, Don.
I'll testify to anything. Because I heard the news. You're the new host.
I'm so glad.
Why? I was backstage. Everybody's packing. It's a year. They got a year yet. Everybody, guys say, what are you doing? I'm getting the hell out of here before he decides to come back.
Well, where are you going to work when I leave?
There it is.
This is about it, you know.
Arsenio Hall is going to be at the house for dinner.
Everybody, can you just pause it? Did you see the way he relished in his own joke, going back and forth? He's enjoying but selling the joke too.
Oh yeah, and the
so-
fact that he loves getting his balls busted. You know what I mean? It's like, yes, now I got some competition. We got some back and forth. We can go at it.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, he's in the ring with another heavyweight.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, buddy.
Another year.
Yeah. I wish you luck, John.
Thank you, Don.
I think it's time you moved on.
I think so.
I'm not saying that facetiously.
I'm not retiring.
You know,
I'm just stepping down as the host of this show.
You're finished.
There are other things I want to do.
Stop trying to be graceful. They asked you to get out and you're walking away. Ed's staying on. That's his deal.
Well,
Stay on and take Severson with him with the funny jackets and hope they skyrocket. Jay Leno's going to work in the crowd selling peanuts. But don't worry, John. You got $40 million. You should walk away.
Come on.
I know what you got. I saw your house at the beach.
I'm comfortable.
Comfortable? Comfortable. When the man spits, there's a guy to catch it.
Doesn't everybody?
They're the best, man.
One of my favorite lines is Carson had gotten married, divorced, and it was Joan, then it was Joanne. And Rickles came on the Tonight Show and asked how his wife was, and he was like, "Oh, I'm sorry." Or he said, he said, "How's Joan?" He said, "No, it's Joanne now." He goes, And his line was, God, this guy doesn't want to change the towels. And it's just such a quick, great line. But, oh, God, I love Rickles. I think, much like Ross, there's a charm when they do it.
Yeah.
There's not a deceit or there's not like a meanness about it. There's a warmth, Mr. Warmth.
Yeah.
That's what he's called, right? But God, he just does it with a wink and a smile.
And it wasn't like I did a roast, a comedy, Larry the Cable Guy roast, and I was backstage and Geraldo's pacing back and forth, and everybody's like,
Yeah.
And I'm standing there like, man, I really should have prepared more for this. Like these guys are really into it,
Right?
And Geraldo was brilliant.
Brilliant,
I mean, brilliant. But it was a different kind of thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't we're all in this together. It
Yeah.
was how badly can we tear this person down
Sure,
in
yeah,
a way
yeah.
of vicious, kind of really going for the nuts. Like
Yeah.
we're going full blast in on it. And Geraldo was fantastic. I'm not trying to take anything away from
Sure,
him, but
yeah.
it was just a different feel. This is more like those dudes are hanging out, drinking a beer, smoking a cigar.
Yeah.
And
I mean, he's ragging on him for having $40 million. I'm comfortable. It's like, no, fuckface. We're going there. We're going to
Yeah.
go there. I'm your friend. This is bullshit.
Right.
And that's what's great about that moment, too, is that Johnny Carson was trying to be the ambassador on behalf of NBC. Everything's fine. Everything's squeaky clean. They're not kicking me out, and Rickles is just cutting. He's got no skin in the game. So it's like, no, fuck that.
Yeah.
That's bullshit. And you're still my friend, but let's get to it. And I think that's the perfect example of like true friendship. What you saw
Right,
there,
exactly.
Like Martin Short and Steve Martin, when they're together, Martin Short takes digs at Steve Martin, fucking deep cut digs, but they're so hilarious and they're so personal. But you still see Steve Martin's got to acknowledge that that's my friend, and it's really fucking funny.
Yeah, it's stuff that they say to each other when they're hanging out,
yeah.
but they just do it in front of everybody and lay it out.
Yeah, because now it's amplified because the audience is acknowledging how great that joke is or
Yeah.
how great that line is. And so when you're here, if Rickles comes out here and it gets uncomfortable and it gets to a place where it's getting booed or whatever, then yeah, of course you have the merit to get upset at your friend. But that's a whole nother level. And Steve Martin and Martin Short, their last Netflix thing, and I know they're going around touring. I mean, they're
Genius,
so good,
dude.
so good at that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, and again, to your point earlier, they're both going at it.
Right.
Steve Martin's a little more reserved in the pocket. Come out with a haymaker every now and then. But Martin Short just keeps. So
Dude,
goddamn
those
funny.
two guys, I love both of them.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, just unbelievable talent.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't feel like there's a lot of those type of guys anymore. You know what I
No,
mean?
yeah, yeah.
It's taken a twist into something else where there's buddy movies, but you're like, you guys aren't really buddy. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it just has
yeah.
a feel of like, oh, let's take this person has 50 million followers and this person has 100 million followers and let's make a buddy cop movie out of it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of,
Yeah, like Chris Farley and David Spade,
Yeah.
they had genuine chemistry because they were friends.
Right.
They were pals, yeah. Bob Hope, Bing Crosby, they were pals. Martin and Lewis, they were pals until they broke up. But yeah, I agree with you. I think there is something to be said for chemistry and friendship as opposed to.
yeah, it seems like Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly are really good friends. It's that you can feel.
were.
Well, they may not be anymore, but
Yeah.
in the movies, they
Yeah.
kind of have like a
Sure, yeah.
yeah.
But Rickles was great. I just wish there was like one. I wish there was like a film that you could go back to, or like
Yeah.
a special you could go back to. It's like he's so scattershot. He's all over the place. There's not one thing you could go to. Like Bill Murray. Yeah, you could go to SNL reruns. You could go to Stripes. You could go to Ghostbusters. You go to these comedic actors, whatever. Eddie Murphy. You always have Beverly Hills. I think more people talk about Beverly Hills Cop or Trading Places for 48 Hours than Raw or,
Yeah.
But I wish Rickles had something tangible that you could go to and go. I watch that once a year.
Yeah,
I
it's
just
like
wish
Bob
there was that.
Newhart. You have to listen to an album.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? You have
yeah.
to really dig to find and it was brilliant, man.
Brilliant. And
know?
Newhart's one of the. I mean, that guy. Sitcoms. He was on the Dean Martin Variety Show. All those late night talk show appearances, and one of the driest comics out there, but still.
and taking his stutter or stammer,
Yeah.
and using that,
Yeah.
and finding comedic timing with it is. I always thought that he was just putting it on, and I listened to his book on my phone or whatever, but he was talking about how he had it, and then he had to use it
Trying to
for
handicap into
timing.
it, yeah.
And that guy's freaking amazing. And people go, "Oh, that's the guy from Elf," and I'm like, "You have no idea what you're missing out on."
Go to bed. Yeah, get some more hot cocoa. All right, here we go. Let's go to number 2. That was Rickles, obviously, and you could find 1,000 of those appearances.
Yeah,
they're so goddamn funny. Okay, here we go. Norm Macdonald.
Dude.
And the time I actually hung out with Bob Newhart, I said, "Who's a comic that you've seen recently that blows you away?" And he said Norm Macdonald.
Dude, Norm Macdonald is a comics comic.
Oh yeah, but he's a comic that could garner big laughs from the audience as well too. You know,
huge. Yeah,
but he also could go deep in the pocket and like that. I forget whose roast it was. I think it was the Saget roast where he just went like,
dude,
into a space where you're like, whoa, this is so personal and inside that even I don't get it. Then I read up on it and I got it. I was like, oh okay, it's great, but. He just didn't give a fuck.
But the fact that he doesn't care is what I love about him so much.
Yeah.
And his, well, we can watch it because
okay.
It's he's one of those guys that even in comedy, I got tired of watching some people. You know, like I'm not even going to watch him. He's
no, never.
Never.
And
get
by the way,
tired of
the
it.
nicest.
Yeah.
The nicest.
See, I never met him.
Yeah, you have to be if you're Canadian, I guess. So,
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Norm Macdonald.
You did some traveling, I guess, since we last saw you. You were in.
Yeah, I did. I never been overseas, and I went to Amsterdam. My dad was in World War II. He was a lot older than I. Well, obviously, he was older than I was. He had me when he was an older fella, and he served in World War II, and he liberated Holland. You know, from the icy grip of that dork Hitler. You know, so. And, you know, with Hitler, the more I learn about that guy, the more I don't care for him. I can't... And there's nothing redeeming about the guy. I tell the guys, I go, how on earth could these Germans, follow this lunatic, you know? And they're like, oh, he was an incredible public speaker, you know? He could hypnotize you with his public speaking. And then I see him, he's like, correctly. I go, what? That's not my idea of a silver-tongued devil. So anyways, that's not the point. Yeah. The point is my dad went over and he liberated Holland. I'll tell you something about the Dutch. They don't forget, you know. My dad, a dirt poor farmer, you know, couldn't be poor, went over to Holland, liberated the country, and they never forgot. Every 5 years he would go and they would throw pedals, you know, and it was fantastic.
Still grateful. The Dutch were still grateful for what the Canadians had done.
So I went over.
In the Canadian Army, right?
Yeah, well, mostly it was my dad, but I used my dad as a surrogate for the entire Canadian Army. But so I went over because my dad's dead. And so I said, it'd be great to see, you know. And so I went to Amsterdam, and oh my Lord. At first, you know, it's a picturesque place. People are driving around on their bicycles over cobblestone streets with canals, and it's beautiful, windmills, and it looks, but then the whole country's gone to hell in a handbasket. You would not believe this. You can do drugs legally.
Really?
Legally. They have a place called coffee shops, right? So I went into one. I said, hey, man, I enjoy coffee, but can I have a coffee? They're like, we don't have coffee. It's a coffee shop. They go, we got drugs. So I'm like, I don't want drugs. That's wrong. What the hell are you talking about, you know? And then prostitutes. They have prostitutes in the window. You can walk along, and there's prostitutes in the window that you can go and have illegal sex. It's legal there, and it's all ass over tea kettle wrong, you know? And so then I had a whole different view of the place of just these, you know, crazy people.
Just not right.
So anyways, one night I was going back to my hotel, and I'm going back to my hotel, and I can't find my hotel because everything's in, they're all foreigners, so it's all different language, hard to find streets and stuff. So I was walking around forever. Finally, I see my hotel, and I get there, and there's a red light, And have you ever been to those places where, not a red light like a red light district,
A traffic light.
a stoplight that was red, and when the red never changes? You ever been in that experience? So I'm standing there, and the red, a minute goes by, 2 minutes go by, 3 minutes go by, whatever minutes go by, and it never changes, and there's no traffic at all. So finally I go, I'll just walk across the red light, right?
Yeah.
What harm can be done? Walk across the red light, immediately a police officer comes riding a bicycle. So then this guy, he's like, talking with his foreign thing, and so he writes me a ticket. I go, are you kidding me? Your whole country's a bunch of drug-smoking prostitute people.
This doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make any sense. And also, if it wasn't for my dad, then that guy wouldn't get to have the freedom to drive his fruity bicycle anyway. Yeah, he'd be living in a country where a guy was going,
Brings it all back.
Dude, with a bow.
Great. I mean, just great. And he got, the story goes, he got fired from SNL because he was making too many OJ jokes.
Yeah, and wouldn't
they
stop.
told him stop making OJ jokes. He's like, okay, I'll stop making that. And he just goes back out and does more OJ jokes. It's like, even on like a national platform, he still was true to himself. Which is great. Yeah.
Yeah, he
So
never.
funny.
I really respect guys like that.
Yeah.
Who just kind of go, I'm on Saturday Night Live. They told me to do this.
Yeah.
And then I think I'm just going to do the complete opposite. I've read your notes.
Right.
And but that doesn't fit with me.
Yeah.
So I'm just not going to do it.
At all. Yeah.
And I'm going to do exactly what you said not to do. I'm going to do more of that.
More of it and get
And get fired.
but also like at the time, like you hear those jokes and they're just like people are groaning.
Yeah.
They're like laughing and groaning, like, oh, it's just like, oh my God. So it's not even like he's gonna do it and like capitulate or even go outside the box and get the laughs. He's gonna go to the places that he absolutely shouldn't, and still like it's very self-serving. But when you know it, it's like, oh, it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, and you almost in a day and age where you want things so fast, we're so used to it, and you watch him, and inside you're like, come on.
Yeah.
It's like that moth joke, like. What? What are we doing? Where's this going? And if you just ride it out, he's brilliant, man.
He's one of the best. And it was obviously such a shame when he passed. And again, he didn't even tell anybody what he was dealing with. So amazing guy.
Yeah.
Amazing talent. Here we go, number 3. What we got here? Bobcat Goldthwait. Okay. So Bobcat Goldthwait, obviously, I think of a younger generation, you would have been introduced to him from the Police Academy films. Kind of an odd delivery.
Yeah.
Almost like a character on stage. And he's definitely weaned away from that. Pivoted into film directing. He directed one of my favorite films of all time, Windy City Heat. Have you ever seen this? Mm-mm. Have you ever seen Windy City Heat? Anybody listening, buy Windy City Heat. Just trust me, just buy it. The guys from Kimmel, Don Barris, Tony Barbieri, they have a friend that wants fame so bad that what they did was they created a feature film that he got cast in as the hero. But as the film's going on, he has no idea. They're fucking with him every step of the way. And it doesn't stop. It gets worse and worse and worse. And you're like, oh my God, when's this going to end? It doesn't end. The whole time, they're just fucking with this guy. But he wants fame so bad, he's putting up with all these speed bumps and roadblocks that are beyond inappropriate. And it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. And at least once a year, I'll be hammered or something on the road. I'm like, I got to put on Windy City. I watch it, and I just die laughing. It's so funny. So he's the director of it. And one time I got on a flight, and I was sitting next to him, and we were just bullshitting. And I could not stop talking about Windy City Heat to the point where he's like, all right, man, I'm going to get some shut-eye. And he just like, when you say it like that and you pull your hat down, it's exactly what he did to me. But I was like, I don't give a shit, man. I met this guy. He's the conduit of that film, and I fucking love it. I'll get it for you guys. It's great. But if anybody listening, Windy City Heat, you got to buy it on Amazon. I think it's on iTunes, but it's literally one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Dude, he has a legendary radio thing. I got to work with him a long time ago, and he was on the radio, and it was when he was married to that really hot chick from that WB show, the redheaded girl.
Who ended up leaving him for Jay Moore, right?
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
I know, but he was married to her, and she was really hot at the time and popular and in some casino show or whatever. So he's on the radio, and one of these morning DJs is like, hey, so what's it like having sex with a da-da-da-da-da?
Yeah.
And he goes, well, what I do is I take my effing cock and shove it, and the guy's like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah.
And he gets mad. He's like, what are you doing? He's like, what are you doing asking me about having sex with my wife? So he blistered the guy. I think the guy got fined like $200,000. I mean, it was like a mess. But it was such a great comic thing.
Checkmate.
His act... like my parents came. This is how long ago it was, and I was opening for him, and this is 20 years ago. But his act was really filthy,
right?
To older people, whatever. He could not have been nicer, and not have been cooler about like, hey man, great job, standing outside smoking a cigar. Just the nicest guy, and it was really cool because I did grow up on those police academy movies, and he was a lunatic, and he did catch the couch on fire and all that stuff. Like, but when you meet him and talk to him, you're like, dude, this is. I love when I look up to somebody and I respect what they do and meet them and they're cool
and they're nice
they're nice because it doesn't ruin everything they've ever been in for me.
Yeah, not to air dirty laundry, but that's the opposite of like Steve Martin. I've always heard rough stories about Steve Martin, and to me, I've never met him, so I can't speak to it. But the few confidants and friends I've had in comedy that have met him, you hear these kind of like rough stories. You're like, God, that's so disappointing. I hate to hear that.
I read his biography.
Yeah.
And the way he came up into comedy is so weird. And he's such an introvert.
Yeah.
And he's very almost Andy Kaufman-ish. Is like when he was practicing magic tricks and doing things by himself and going to Knott's Berry Farm to put on shows for people walking by, and going to San Francisco and nobody else is doing comedy and he's doing. But he has like you feel after you read it like he's so lonely. Like he talks about being on tour all the time and these arena shows, and he was the biggest thing in the world.
Oh yeah, he was he was the first to do those, I think, comedy shows on that scale.
Yeah.
And then walked away from it. And to be honest with you, I listened to more of his bluegrass stuff. Him picking on the banjo than stand-up in the last few years. And I would listen to his stuff, but I think he's so incredibly talented on the banjo. It's really pleasant, fun music. It's good music to listen to when you're traveling. I really enjoy his band. But all right, let's listen to Bobcat Goldthwait here.
Couple TV sets, and I don't know. I don't want to be rude, Jay, but that's whatever.
That's what?
Well, I mean, it worked. I mean, you invited me on your show. No, like I gotta go nuts.
No, you don't have to go nuts.
I know I have to go nuts. It sweeps, and and I don't know what to do because I don't really feel that nuts.
Right.
Well, I thought, what can I do? No, I don't know. I can mess up your hair, but that's not funny, or I don't know what I can do.
Well, do you see yourself as a role model for our young people?
I think I'm an excellent role model for children.
Really?
I think they need more role models like me.
Really?
Yeah, that's the problem with Americans' youth today. Then what else? I think, well, it is sweeps, and I love Jay very much, and I thought, well, what if I don't know, what if I set his furniture on fire?
No, don't set that on fire. Now you have to sit in this. Now sit down.
I'm not sitting in it.
Sit in that chair.
Jay, I'm no stranger to sitting in gas.
Give me this.
You think I'm like a dog? You're gonna rub my nose in it?
Sit in that chair. Sit down in that chair. Now where's he going now?
Oh man, that's. God, that's so uncomfortable.
That's one of those, like, you know what would be funny is if I went on and then it just blows up in your face. The falling
That's
is the
it's not going well.
Yeah.
Right. The perceived bit is not going well. It could be going well to a niche community, right?
yeah.
But
Like his manager.
yeah, oh, yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's meta. It's
Yeah.
it's kabuki theater, whatever. But then when it's not, you still want the audience to laugh. You still want them to be entertained. You still want like a good reaction from them. I think for the most part, right? And then it's not going well, and then you're improvising, and he's like, "All right, well, let me do this," and then you go out and you slip and you fall. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
that's just.
Painful. Like, it just got worse.
And this is at a time when there was no streamers. There's probably no internet at this point with YouTube, with any of that stuff. So people will have heard about that.
Yeah.
I never saw this, so I don't really remember.
I remember
this.
it.
You remember?
Yeah,
Okay.
and I remember the feeling of, like, here's the weird thing, dude, is he's doing a character. Like, if Lenny Bruce would have done that.
Yeah.
Or Richard Pryor, who neither one of them would have done it. But
Sure.
but I mean, it would have been like, that guy, that's punk rock. That's,
Yeah.
That's throwing it all out there. When you're doing a character and you do it, it's almost like, what are you doing? Well, now the character, you're not talking like yourself.
Yeah.
But you're doing something that's it's a weird, I can't wrap my head around it.
It's like Inception. It's like you're in a van, you go on the bridge, you're going off it, you're waiting to wake up from the dream, but it's just like, is it a dream? Or am I really in the, it's like, it's too complicated. It just needs to be one note or two notes, but there's like four notes here. But then when you slip and fall, I think that's just, oh God,
Yeah,
that's
it's
it's like getting permanent marker on your face.
Yeah.
It'll wash off, but it's going to be with you for a while.
Yeah.
It just,
And it was too planned out, and it was too, you could tell, after you see it, you could tell he was like, I'm about to catch this couch on fire.
Yeah.
You could see him getting ready, and it wasn't.
So what led to this then? Was there something he did that got him invited? Because he makes reference to it. I wasn't sure.
That
what
I
it
don't
was.
know.
Okay, because he did something, and then he got invited there. He was like, everybody thinks I'm a madman. I'm going to do something crazy. And then he lights a chair on fire, which it wasn't even that bad. Like, you would think you would down. I don't know. It just seemed like it was the least effective version of what he was trying to do.
Yeah.
To me, I don't know.
Yeah, it's weird, but it's also one of those things where you kind of go, he tried it.
Yeah.
It didn't work. It blew up in his face bad.
Or just be a great guest. like just do a killer bit.
Right.
Like Norm.
Right. Right.
Like, that was a great bit that Norm MacDonald did. And what Rickles did was great. And then with this, it just seems like it's a stunt. And
Yeah.
the stunt didn't go well. It was poorly executed. And it's a shame because I really like him.
I do too.
I'm sure there's
man.
1,000 other appearances that he has that are great, but this is one we're watching right now, so that's it. But
Yeah.
I think he's a fantastic talent. And
I do
I've always
too,
heard
man.
good things about him. And the time I met him, he was super nice. And again, one of those guys where I was like, I'd love to get a picture with him because I'm such a fan of that movie.
Yeah.
I've talked about it so much, but Windy City Heat, just trust me. Okay, so this is number 4. Let's see what we got here. Oh, Christ. Steve Byrne. Now, this
All
is
right.
going to be, the minute the picture comes up, I'm going to know where this was, and I can tell you if this was good or bad. Okay, this is Conan. Okay, well, not the best clip. I remember this. So I remember this is when Sullivan and Son was premiering. We were just premiering, and this was the only late night talk show that had me on for a talk show that I had on for 3 seasons. I only had one appearance, and this was like the week before it premiered. It's crazy. I had a show that had 2 million viewers, but no late night talk show would have any of us on.
Yeah.
It was crazy. The only reason that Conan had us on was because we were on the same network. And I remember every time going to the upfronts, he would avoid me like the plague. You know when just people just like, you could tell they just don't want to be around you or whatever?
Yeah.
I was like, what is wrong? Like, I don't understand what the discord is. And I went back and I remembered when the Leno Conan stuff blew up, right? I think this all goes back to this moment. He had me on his show before he was going to take over the Tonight Show. And as I'm going to go up, my Comedy Central special had just come out and it was on DVD. and there was a quote on the cover from Jay Leno. And so he's looking at it, and then he's reading. I could see him reading it, and I was like, "Oh, fuck! My manager's a dipshit. Why would you give it to him, knowing all this is going on?"
Right.
So I think that's maybe the root of it, or he just didn't like me. I mean, there's that too. I don't know, but I know that his staff used to tell on us all the time.
Really?
When we were at Warner Brothers, we'd be filming, and so you're just in these sound stages, and as glamorous and as fun as it sounds, right? You're on a set and all this stuff. It's dark.
Yeah.
It's cold, and you're inside all day, and you want to get some sunshine. So we would go outside all the time and throw a football, always, or we play street hockey. And there's all these golf carts going through and stuff.
Yeah.
So it was like Wayne's World game on. And so Owen Benjamin, 6'7", could launch a football. I'm not joking, like 70 yards.
Yeah.
He just could hurl it. And so we would throw these footballs. Roy Wood and I and Ahmed would run these deep routes, and Conan's staff would always call on us.
Dude, isn't it weird, like when you get to a point where you think it's going to be some way, and like I hosted this traveling thing on NBC, and they were going to put me on not Good Morning America, what's the Today Show?
Yep.
Right? And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to be on the Today Show to plug this thing. The night before I go on, Michael Jackson died.
Oh, Jesus.
So I go in, and the show's, and that's the
Thanks a lot.
That's the only, jerk. That's the only show that would have me on.
Really?
I couldn't even get on the Tonight Show to promote it. I get on that show, and then I get on in the morning, and they're like, hey, before we get to you, we need to go to Tito. And he's like, I can't believe my brother died. And they're like, Reno Collier has a traveling show, but first we're going to go to Janet Jackson. She's like, and everyone's gone. Like, I had like the Univision person who was interviewing me, and it wasn't like Matt Lauer.
Right.
And it was like, I'm just sitting there, and two families that were contestants on the show lived in New York. They're outside the window jumping up and down cheering, and I'm looking in the thing, and Tito's crying, and then they cut to me, and there's two people jumping, and I'm just like, my life is a dump. like, this was supposed to make me happy.
Should have lit the couch on fire.
I should have gone Bobcat Goldthwait.
Well, I'll tell you, there was a moment in time where doing these did mean something.
Oh, yeah.
Right? But they don't mean as much as they used to. I think there's still something to like we all have our own goals of like doing these things. And is it fun to be in a studio and do these? Yeah, it's fun. But they certainly don't have the impact or mean as much. And there's a lot of work that goes into these late night talk show sets that I feel maybe just aren't even worth it anymore. To like neuter a set, change these words, the most effective words in your set to whatever.
Right.
Just like, for what? So it could be neutered for 4.5 minutes. And then sometimes you're up there and they go, okay, you got 4.5. We might have to truncate you by a minute. Can you go 3.5? It's like, well, now what, then you're matriculating all the material. And it's like, well, then why'd I spend the last week with your producer going over shit?
Everything.
And it doesn't even matter anymore.
Dude, I don't even cuss a lot in my act,
Yeah.
but I don't have material that I can do on there.
Yeah.
Like the things that I talk about now are never talked about on television. There is no, if you're talking about gender or, I mean, it's not even, I don't even submit anything anymore. It's like, it's not even going to happen.
For what?
Yeah.
Submit for what? I mean,
So I can go on a cologne commercial that lasts an hour and then, you know what I mean? Like, people that come on those shows now are like, hey, so tell me about your new cologne. And it's like, dude, we already watched the commercial. I don't need to sit through you asking them again. And then, I heard you had 9,000 hits on the thing. Let's sing in the car. And it's like, God dang, dude. These shows have been on forever. The best thing you can come up with is let's sing in the car.
Yeah.
So you can act like a woman and clap every time some rapper acts like you're kind of cool. Like, Ice Cube doesn't like sitting in there going, let's sing a Tiffany song. Yeah, it's like, come on, dude. Nobody wants to be in that thing.
Well, speaking of nobody want to be there,
show, but
let's watch Conan pretend to like me.
Is that you had a baby girl recently? Is that right?
Yes.
Congratulations! Great news.
I bet it wasn't you.
Yeah.
Your wife. Really? Unbelievable.
Incredible. How's that going?
I was just seeing how long I could go with this.
Yeah.
Not long, apparently.
It's been great. It's been great. It's it's weird having a baby girl. I started realizing how bad I feel for girls because girls are forced to grow up so quick. You think about it. What's the first toy a little boy gets? A gun, truck, a bike. What's the first toy a little girl gets? Another little baby girl.
Right.
That's kind of messed up. Like, hey, I'm a baby. I'm having so much fun. Time to grow up, baby. Here's your baby. I just got here. What's that kitchen set for? Get in there. You can learn how to bake cookies. Even girls.
You got to keep that alive.
Yeah. That's a lot of responsibility. You're right. And girls grow up so quick, even by the laws of nature. When does a girl technically become a woman? 5th grade. Remember the one day the teacher comes in, separates a class. Life changes after that day. Teacher comes in. All right, all the girls, follow me. Come on, we got to have a little conversation. Girls go, what's going on? Is there a rainbow outside? Girls come back 20 minutes later. I'm so scared. Because that's scary news. You're a kid. You're on a jungle gym going down a slide. Next thing you know, you're in a cold classroom with a teacher. You're going to be bleeding once a month pretty much the rest of your life. Trying to be bleeding? Oh, yeah. From where? Right there. Is it going to hurt? Not you, but everyone around you.
Classic burn.
Dude, you can laugh at that.
Ah, you did it.
I love that, man.
Boy, I'll tell you, after Dennis Leary's story, I got to say this. I'm horny, you're horny. Well, you know the rest.
Now, you'd think that becoming a dad,
Yes.
you'd think that becoming a father would make you more mature. That was... But apparently, no. That is not the case.
No. I remember I was holding her one day, and she was just dead asleep. Her name's Olivia, so I should just preface that. Not that it's important to the story, but her name's Olivia, so I'm holding her. She's dead asleep, and for some reason, I started doing the wrestling thing, like the Hulk Hogan thing when you put the arm up.
Hulk Hogan thing where you lift it up?
Yeah, I was just lifting her arm up, and it kept dropping. I couldn't stop laughing. I was looking at my wife, Jessica. I'm like, check this out. Down for the count. It's a chokehold. And then all of a sudden, the arm stayed up. And then she opened her eyes and looked at me, and I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. And she threw up all over me.
So I'll tell you this. You know, Dennis Leary had done something before as a callback to it. He got a big laugh at it. I was like, oh, keep that in the Rolodex. But then I know when I was doing these high fives and stuff, like these are the kinds of things like he hates. He doesn't want you to be physical. He doesn't want you to be animated. He just wants you to sit there and be cerebral and stuff.
Right, so he can do the...
I guess so. So I just I know I got shit for it afterwards or whatever, and I was like, I thought I was just trying to bring some energy to my part of the show and exhibit like part of my personality, whatever.
They gave you shit for that?
I got shit for it, yeah.
Well, dude, what I thought was when Andy Richter made a smart-ass comment or whatever, you know, like, yeah, well, you can see by that, that you were going like, hey, see what I'm talking about? That's what I mean.
Right.
I didn't think, well, I don't know, dude.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Andy was the nicer of the two, and I would see him on the Warner Brothers lot and on occasion, whatever. He's always super nice. I think he's a very talented guy as well. But
dude, people used to think I was him.
Oh, back in the day, I could kind of see that maybe. Yeah,
yeah. It was.
When you were
I was getting makeup done one time, and this guy walks in and goes, "Andy."
Yeah,
and I'm like, and my name's Andrew Reno Collier, and I'm like, oh, well, that's kind of, hey,
yeah.
And he walked away, and she goes, he thinks you're Andy Richter. And I was like, really? Like I look like Andy Richter and Natalie from The Facts of Life had a baby. You know what I mean? Like it was right. It was right on the in between of like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A tweeter.
Well, I'll tell you, I don't know. This is the late night talk show one. The Tonight Show with Leno. They had me on 10 times, and every time you were there, I'll tell you, it felt like you were in show business.
Yeah,
it felt like you were at the epicenter of Hollywood. Because this was before like podcasts and stuff, and it's been a while, obviously, since I've done a late night talk show appearance. But you felt like you were part of like this fun community, dude. And yeah. I remember like I met Rose Byrne and Anderson Cooper, and the minute you get booked, you're like, oh, who else is on this thing or whatever. Like the Dixie Chicks were on it, just all these people you would never normally meet or whatever. But as much flack as Leno gets, I'll tell you, couldn't have been nicer.
Dude, he gets a lot of flack, right, for stuff of hosting the Tonight Show, but his stand-up is off the chart. I mean, that guy destroyed rooms.
Yeah.
Destroyed him. And by the way, great appearance.
Oh, thank you.
That was fantastic.
Yeah, I don't know. You never know. But, I mean, like the physicality, again, it just like, you know, like I did the late show with James Corden. The producers saw me at the Comedy Store, and I had this bit about fat white girls. And they go, oh, you got to do that. You got to do that. I did it. I was told, you're not going to come back. I was like, why? Because they're like, you did this bit about fat white girl. I'm like, you guys told me to do the bit.
The show's hosted by a fat white girl.
Oh, fuck yeah. And that
Sorry,
will
mate.
be it. All right. Comedy Pinata with Reno Collier. Ended on a high. I love it, dude. It's fucking great. That is so awesome. All right. I want to thank Taylor. I want to thank everybody out there for tuning in and watching. We'll be back next week. And I think Reno's going to be with us quite a bit more.
Dude, I love it.
I love
These
it.
are so much fun.
We had a nice conversation. So, all right, guys, we'll be back. Make sure to subscribe, rate, review, and tell your pals about it. We'll be back shortly. We'll see you soon. Comedy Pinata from Zany's Nashville.